Can you see my laser pointer?
Ah, smart. I like it.
Yes,
Yes.
we
Lit.
can.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So we are Attila Ambassadors, and we're here to tell you about how to get scholarships. My name is Shania Sheth, and I am a first-year health science student at Queen's University.
And I'm Alana, first-year natural sciences student at the University of Calgary.
So let's jump right into it. So how many of you know what a scholarship is? With a show of hands. Okay, so we got a couple. Tommy one knows, Lauren knows. Now, how many of you have actually applied to a scholarship? Oh, I don't see any hands. Oh, I see one hand. Okay, that's awesome. Well, we're here to talk to you about what a scholarship is and how you can win scholarships. First, though, let's talk a little bit about why these are important. If you're a millionaire, don't worry, you can skip this part.
So the logic is pretty simple. Education is important, but it's also super expensive. So one way of helping to pay for that is scholarships.
Great point. And education is also important. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Education helps you make more money. Higher education leads to lower unemployment rate and higher median earnings. So more money, less unemployment. Sounds good to me. Next point is you understand the world better. You'll know about fake news, Bitcoin, climate change. You'll just get a better perspective, and this can help you make better decisions in terms of future investments and relationships. Don't forget that it can also improve your social status. Education leads to networking and connections, which can all lead to social and personal as well as academic benefits. Now, when I say university, you don't necessarily have to go to university, but you do need to have some form of education. So you might want to consider college, apprenticeship, or even an online course that you're passionate about. Now, what percentage of students do you think end up going to university or college? Any guesses? Vesa, do you want to take a guess? Oh, Vesa's still here. Okay, Vesa's not here. Angelina, do you want to take a guess?
I think 60%.
60%, that's a great guess. Well, in reality, 50.2% of students end up going to university, and that's more than half the student population. So as you can see, a lot of people understand the value of education and the value of higher education. Now, how much do you think university or college will cost you? Well, that's a great guess. The average cost for university for 1 year in Canada is $20,000. That's $80,000 for a 4-year degree. And most bachelor degrees are 4 years. So you're looking at around $80,000 worth of tuition and fees and all sorts of things like that.
It can also be even more for engineering, which is typically 5 years. So that's like 100,000.
That's a great point. This always differs by program. So depending on what you're interested in, you might be paying a lot more than that or potentially a little less. But on average, based on how much money you're going to have to pay for university, how much do you think the student loans are? How much do you think average students have in student loans?
Any guesses?
$1 million.
Million. Okay, how about the guesses on the
Wow.
board?
Fortunately,
Aaron,
it's
I think I
not
saw
$1
your
million.
Yeah, how about I'm gonna guess B, 19,000.
B. Okay.
19,000. We wish it was 19,000, but in reality,
It's about 28,000. So how much is 28,000, Shania?
well, 28,000, you can put that in a couple of different things. That would be 1 Tesla Model 3, 100 Starbucks Frappuccinos every month for 10 entire years, or 3 new iPhones a year for 10 entire years. So as you can imagine, that is a lot of money that you're going to have to be paying back in student debt.
So what are your options? You can either be born rich, or you can take out a loan, but that requires interest and can take a little while to pay off, so you're going to have it for a long time. You can get a job, but pretty time consuming and also might not pay as much, especially since we're pretty young. And the other option, you can apply for scholarships. So just a guess, how many scholarships do you think go unclaimed every year?
I mean, Milana, there can't be that many scholarships. Most people apply to them, right?
Well, oh, there's no slide for that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, actually, like millions of dollars of scholarships doesn't get used every year because people just don't know about them or they're not advertised.
And so
So,
why don't more people apply for scholarships, Milana?
well, there's a couple common assumptions that we will go over. So, here's a
So
few
we're
of them.
going to clear up some common assumptions about scholarships. We're going to debunk some of the things that you've probably heard and tell you what the truth is behind all of these scholarships online. So the first assumption is, I don't have the grades or extracurriculars to win a scholarship. You might think that, but in reality, many scholarships don't have any grade requirements or require a whole lot of extracurricular volunteer experience. You'll find that some scholarships just ask you what your favorite ice cream flavor is and why, and that's a scholarship that you could potentially win.
Another common assumption is that it's a waste of time if you're not going to win. But in reality, if you get a loan or a job, that's going to take you a lot more time in the long run. Spending an hour here and there could be beneficial now. And we did a few calculations for that. In fact, if you apply to 20 scholarships, and let's say each scholarship is worth about $2,000, and then you spend 2 hours on each scholarship, and by the end of all that, you have about a 5% win rate. So out of 20, you win one of those, then you earn about $50 an hour, which is a lot more than the minimum wage in Alberta right now, which is $15. And I think that's Ontario now too. So yeah, quite a bit more money to just, and it's also on your own schedule. Like you don't have to go to somewhere.
That's a great point, Milana. I would definitely consider that as well. Now, another assumption is I only want scholarships that require little effort. Well, most low effort scholarships are basically just lottery scholarships, and you don't really have a high control when it comes to whether you're going to win those or not.
An example of
we
that
actually-
could be like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No problem. We actually put together a quick graph to demonstrate the relationship between the effort that you put in and the chances of you winning.
Yeah, an example of a really low effort one is like Canada's Luckiest Student.
So
Here's
here-
that graph.
Yeah, so based on the odds, based on the effort that you put into the scholarship, there's either odds winning based on luck or there's odds winning based on merit. And merit is what you care about because the effort that you put into a scholarship, you want that to pay off and you want to be able to showcase some of the great either extracurriculars that you have or something you're really passionate about, and you want to translate that into scholarship wins. So ultimately, looking at this graph, we can tell that the more effort you put into a scholarship, the more you're going to win based on merit instead of luck.
So another common assumption is that you already have student loans and you already graduated, so you can't do anything about it anymore. But in reality, there's some scholarships that let you pay off student loans even after you're graduated. You might just have to do a little bit of research. So here's a few for afterwards. We'll send you these slides later so you can check them out. They're hyperlinked, so just click on them.
That's a great point. There's always scholarships for you, so you should start looking at them now, and there's going to be more for later as well. Now, how to find these scholarships. There are multiple websites that you can use. There's Canadian websites and American websites, and all of them have compiled lists and lists of scholarships for you to apply to. For example, Attila. There are many resources to allow you to find the scholarships that are best suited for your needs. There are lots of lists that have a completed list of lots of scholarships for you to look through and figure out the ones that you can apply to. And you should also consider their scholarships for employees. If you have a part-time job or if your parents have a job, ask them to ask their employer about what kind of scholarships are available for that company. There are ones at McDonald's, RBC, Tim Hortons, and that's something you could potentially apply to. So don't forget to capitalize on the jobs that you're currently in. And you can actually ask for scholarships that don't exist. So a quick tip is you can actually call or email companies and ask if they have a scholarship. And if they do, you'll find out about it. And if they don't, they might consider actually starting one for you. So for example, I'm in a volleyball club and that's run by Queen's University. So if I went to Queen's and I said, hey, do you have any sort of like recreational scholarships for volleyball students, they might think, well, we don't have one right now, but potentially we could make one in the future. And that's something that you'd be able to benefit from. And really, there's no harm in asking. We actually put together a quick template for you. So here's an example of something you could email one of your organizations.
Okay, so sorry, can you just close? I want to see how many slides you have left and ask you to jump ahead a
I
little
think we'll have
bit.
9 left.
You have 9 left only?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
46, right?
Okay, cool.
Oh, 56, sorry.
Okay, so what we can probably do is let's see. So where are you? Okay, 37. Jump ahead to maybe track deadlines. Okay.
Awesome. So when you're applying for scholarships, grade 12, grade 11, high school, university, all that time, crazy busy. So something that I find useful is making a schedule. You can do that through your favorite platform, whether that's Google Calendar, Yahoo, Microsoft, Google Spreadsheet, whatever you have. Just make sure that you include a couple of these tips so that you don't get lost. If you're planning a few months ahead, you might forget in the meantime. Another thing I really like to use is Notion. And yeah, you can also save all your scholarships in the cloud through Google Drive or Microsoft One, whatever works better. And you can also get a scholarship helper Chrome extension. So these are things like the scholarship Attila one, which helps you save directly onto your browser.
And now we'll talk a little bit about how to write a great application. We could give you a whole presentation about this, but we'll just cover the main tips. First, always give examples and proofs. The scholarships want to hear about what you've done and why you're passionate about it. Next, don't forget to be specific. If they're asking you a specific question, they're going to want a specific answer. So give details, give personal experiences, and give anything that'll convince them about the answer. Don't forget to read past winners and non-winners, learn what to do, what not to do, and these will definitely help you shape your writing and become a future scholarship winner.
Just make sure you don't copy verbatim. Just have an idea and then jump off of that.
For sure. Now, the length, that's a great question. Be as long as necessary, but as short as possible. A pro tip is to calculate the average word length of past winners. You'll know if a scholarship wants you to write the entire essay for them, or if they just want you to hit on the main points that you're passionate about.
Make sure you look out for those word counts too. Some people will stop reading and then they'll miss all your great ideas.
And don't forget to use resources to edit your work and improve your writing. Make sure what you're submitting is the best work possible. So use grammar checkers, use Google Docs, and all those sort of tools that can help you. There's
Here's
also
a couple
a lot
resources.
of, there's a lot of cool articles that you can read about improving writing. And use plain English and break your stuff up with paragraphs. Here's a quick meme to explain why that's really, really important.
So in conclusion, thank you for listening. We have a few Attila Discord and slides that you can use for afterward. And yeah, hopefully you learned a little bit about scholarships. We'll now jump right into a Q&A, so feel free to ask us anything and find us on social media later if you have questions afterward. So with that,
I have
anyone
a
have a question?
question.
Sure.
Have you
Angelina?
guys applied to any scholarships, and how is your experiences with that?
For sure, I can start with that. So when I was in grade 12, I applied to a lot of scholarships. It was a huge list. I think it was probably like 100, but I sorted it all on Notion, so it was all right. So a lot of my experience was just time management, because sometimes you spend more than 2 hours on a scholarship, and then that could start to take a while. And so I think really planning out was really helpful for that. Janaya, do you have any?
I totally agree with Milana. That's really true. Another quick tip is if you've applied to a lot of scholarships, you can often reuse what you've written before. So don't forget that once you've submitted something, you could submit that to a completely different scholarship and have the same answers and get the same results. So don't forget that when you write something, use that. Have a portfolio of all your answers, and that'll make the scholarship application process go way quicker.
It is true. Okay, I've got a few in the chat. Oh, they aren't questions. Kate, anyone have any questions?
I put a question in the chat.
Oh, just loaded for me. Maybe someone, could you clarify that a bit? What assumption are you referring to?
So you guys mentioned earlier on that applying for scholarships pays better than a full-time job, but like, you're assuming that, the win rate is gonna be 5% or that the average scholarship is 2,000. So like, how realistic is that number actually?
Well, I think that goes back to that graph we had with the how much effort you put in and how many like people are applying to it. So for example, something in Canada really big, the Loran Scholarship. Before, only a few people could apply directly from their school, or you could apply separately. But this year they opened it up, so now it has a huge pool of people who are applying. So that one you might have a lower chance, especially since it also has multi-tiers like essays and then interviews and second reads and stuff like that. But if you find maybe a smaller scholarship that's more niche or more toward what you're going into, it would have a smaller pool of applicants. So that assumption would be a bit higher, I guess, your chances of getting that one.
Definitely, I agree with Milana. And if you're referencing our calculations based on you get $50 an hour for scholarships, don't worry if that's not 100% accurate to your situation. And if you want to customize that for your experience of how many scholarships you win, we put a little link for a spreadsheet calculator. So if you want to figure out how much you would win in comparison to your part-time job currently, you can put that into the spreadsheet and see what that is relative to your earnings. And you can decide which one you think would be more valuable for you.
Bingo, that's the answer I was looking for. Both answers were good, but I was actually looking for that specific answer, so really good work. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. That's really good, actually, like amazing. Okay, so you're gonna do some feedback stuff as well, yeah?
Yes, we would love your feedback as we keep doing these presentations. Want to help you guys out, so please check out this Google form. Again, I'll be in the slide package you get.